Great swords. Better than good swords, but not quite perfect swords. In this video, we'll be ranking all of the great swords in Baldur's Gate 3 on a tier list. I've seen a lot of different thoughts about these, and there's some weapons that aren't as good as people say they are, and there's actually quite a few that are much better than people say they are, so we'll be breaking all of that down, as well as some secret abilities that you can get with some of these weapons. Now, I'm first going to start off with the most common sword you're going to find in the game, with the Githyanki Greatsword. This is just a weapon enhancement +1, much like the other Greatsword +1. These are honestly just going to be some of the worst. They are a little bit better than the ones that don't have a magical enhancement, but we're just going to save time, put them right there, because there's a much better one here with the Githyanki Greatsword with the 1d4 of psychic damage attached to it. So when wielded by a Githyanki, this weapon gets an additional 1d4 psychic damage. There are two ways we can actually get the Githyanki abilities, and one of them is by purchasing the deluxe edition. You get the Mask of the Shapeshifter, or you're going to get a shapeshift spell from one of the different classes that can get it. Now, what you're going to do is you're actually just going to change yourself into a Githyanki, and it's just going to be simple as that. Do the transformation, and then at this point, you're going to have to equip the weapon, so we'll take that off, put it back on. You now have that 1d4 on your attacks, and then you can just go ahead with ending the shapeshift, and boom, you're going to keep that 1d4 of psychic damage. It's really as simple as that, and you can get all the benefits. Same thing goes with the Dwarven Thrower Hammer. So yeah, for any of these weapons, you can do that. There's also another option. You can equip the helmet, use the shapeshift, and then remove the helmet, do a long rest, and the next day you'll have the benefit as well. So a couple quick and easy ways to get those extra damage die. It's very much worth it. And the reason that this is better than one of the most popular swords, the Everburn Blade, there's actually two reasons. So this one has a weapon enhancement +1. So you're getting a +1 to your attack rolls and your damage rolls, which you don't get with the Everburn Blade. So that is something to keep in mind, that you can actually get a better damage and attack roll out of this, which is actually quite important for great swords. All great swords will do a 2d6 of damage. And in fact, this weapon can actually get that 1d4 of fire damage as well. All you need is a candlestick, and you can put these in your pocket, and it's a free action to drop them at any time. It does require a bonus action to dip it, but you can dip it right before you get yourself into combat, and then that weapon will now have its normal damage die plus a 1d4 of fire and psychic damage. So this ends up being much better than the Everburn Blade. It doesn't look as cool as the Everburn Blade, I will be honest. Like, when we pull this out, just having this fiery sword on your back at all times does look pretty metal. This is actually one of the coolest looking weapons for that. I've always been a sucker for whenever weapons have this magical effect to them, and the Everburn Blade is no exception to that. You can get it by using command drop on Commander Zulk in the Nautiloid ship, so it is relatively easy to get. But if we're going to compare these two swords, the Githyanki Greatsword is much better. It does require a little bit of a setup, but the benefits are you still get that 1d4 fire damage, and you get a +1 to your attack rolls. So the Githyanki Greatsword is pretty solid. I'm just going to put it in the B tier there. And then the Everburn Blade, it's okay. It's a good weapon, but there's actually a lot of better weapons in Act 1 that I want to talk about. So we're going to put it in the C tier, because if you're going for an Act 1 Greatsword, as good as the Everburn Blade is for that extra 1d4, we do get that from dipping it or a Githyanki sword, but there's actually a much better weapon here with the Svartlebee's Woundseeker. So with this weapon, what it does, anytime you attack a target that's been damaged already, you get a 1d4 bonus to your attack rolls. That is really big. It doesn't look that cool. It's just a normal greatsword appearance. That's fine. The big thing is it has the +1 weapon enhancement and an additional 1d4 to its attack rolls. So if you have Great Weapon Master, which gives you a -5 to your attack rolls, you can offset that with this 1d4 bonus +1 as well. This is one of the best swords in the game, in all honesty, just because that extra bonus is going to be applied a lot of the time. Most of the time when you're attacking enemies, they're going to have their health reduced, and you can also pair this well with a type of sorcerer or a wizard that has Scorching Ray or Magic Missile, because then you can just damage them a bunch of characters lightly, and then your fighter is going to get their bonus 1d4 to their attack rolls. So one of the easiest weapons to set up that Bless benefit pretty much, and you can also apply Bless to them and a variety of other effects as well. This sword has got to be one of the best swords in the game. You get it from the Flaming Fist Yeva, who is in Act 1 at Joaquin's Rest. Now, whenever you find them there, you do have to run up and use command drop on it right away. Now, you will get into a Flaming Fist fight, so that is something you do have to watch out for. Is there's going to be combat, obviously. But the weird thing is, whenever you go to find Counselor Floric, even if you fought them all, she doesn't seem to care. So yeah, you can get yourself Svartlebee's Woundseeker. If you miss it there, you can find her in the Nautiloid area of the map. So once you get to Act 2, you can get it at that point as well. A little pro tip, you can use Lump's Warhammer and call in the ogres to just fight them and then get yourself this really, really useful weapon. So Yes, Svartlebee's Woundseeker. I don't want to talk about it all day. We're going to throw this up into the high A tier. It could even be an S tier just because that 1d4 bonus to attack rolls is so good. But next up, we got another sword that you're likely going to find on most runs with the Sword of Justice. So this sword is from the the fake tier paladins, and it gives you tier's protection, which gives basically Shield of Faith. The big benefit of this, though, is it's a bonus action, so you can apply this to yourself. This can go on your fighter or anyone that doesn't normally have a concentration, because that +2 to armor class is really nice. And with a fighter, they're going to have Constitution saving throw proficiency, same as a barbarian. Although the barbarian can't hold a concentration while raging, it's just a nice way to get yourself an extra +2 to your armor class. Honestly, not a bad weapon overall. I do prefer some of the other great swords here, but if you're looking to make a more defensive character, or even if you're a paladin and you just want to have a useful bonus action, the Sword of Justice is a good way to accomplish that. So I'd have to say that this one is a high B tier to, I might even say, low A tier. We may shuffle this around, but Svartlebee's Woundseeker is much better, getting that 1d4 bonus to attack rolls, but getting a +2 to armor class is nothing to say bad about. So we're going to do two of the most powerful weapons in the game with the Balduran Giantslayer and the Sword of Chaos. I wanted to compare these two. There's 3 legendary weapons in the game, or 2 legendary greatswords. There's the Silver Sword of the Astral Plane here, and there's the Balduran Giantslayer. I like to compare these two because despite the Silver Sword and the Silver Sword being so good, it's mostly for Gith, or if you want to use the helmet trick there. We'll be getting to this weapon shortly. I might just move that ahead there. But Balduran Giantslayer is an interesting one because it's going to be best for strength-based characters. So on hit, you double your strength modifier on your attack, and it grants you advantage on attack rolls against large, huge, or gargantuan creatures, +3 weapon enhancement, and the giant form. So for those of you that enjoy giant characters, this is perfect for you. The interesting part about this is, if you're a warlock, let's say, and you have Pact of the Blade, which changes your damage or your attack rolls into charisma, what it doesn't do is so the Giant Slayer, it doesn't give you double your charisma modifier. What it'll do is you add your charisma modifier, and the Giant Slayer adds your deck or your strength modifier to it. So if you have a 20 charisma and then you only have 10 strength, you're going to get a +0 from your strength and a +5 from your charisma. So that's just to clarify how this weapon does work. So for certain builds, you don't want to use Balduran Giantslayer. If you're going if you're going to use a Warlock, you definitely don't want to use this. You'd be much better off using the Sword of Chaos, and I'll get to that in just a second. This is the best case use for like a Barbarian or any high strength character. It's just all around a strong sword. Not only that, it looks really cool. It's beating heart design. It gives you 27 temporary health points and additional 1d6 damage, and advantage on strength checks and saving throws with the giant form for 10 turns. And this is not a concentration. You just pop that and you're giant with that extra health. So you do have to be mindful that once you lose a health, you do lose benefits, but being large like this is a really nice benefit of that. So this is the perfect giant barbarian. Now, one thing is the giant barbarian's giant's rage doesn't actually stack with the Balduran Giantslayer. So kind of sucks. Patch 8 did add this new subclass. I was excited to try it out. It was one of the first things that I did, and unfortunately they don't work well together. However, if you have the Elixir of the Colossus, you can then make yourself even larger. So if you want to become even larger, Elixir of the Colossus, boom, it doubles it up. Now you're even larger. So yeah, you can get to some pretty crazy sizes using both of these together. This alone makes it a pretty fun weapon, being able to get this large and get that extra 1d4 and 1d6 bonus to your attack rolls. So yeah, there it is. 2d6 plus 1d6 plus 1d4 slashing. And yeah, I did lose the strength potion that I had equipped, so we do lose that extra damage, and it's now -1, but you get the idea that it's pretty strong. And reapplying the strength potion again, so you can see the +8 to slashing damage. This gets further enhanced whenever you go to see it from an actual attack perspective. So unfortunately my combat log is glitched out at the moment, but it would add the +8 from our strength modifier twice, so you get basically a +16. So that if you're going to use a Cloud Giant potion, that's perfect for this weapon. So overall, Balduran Giantslayer is honestly one of the best in the game. Getting to get double large is fun, but the extra damage and temporary health is also quite nice. And then it also is a very strong best in slot weapon for a strength-based character. Now, comparing it to the Sword of Chaos, this has a completely different use case. The Sword of Chaos will heal you every time that you attack. Also, the Sword of Chaos comes from Baldur's Gate 1, so that's pretty cool as well. Now, it doesn't have the +3 weapon enhancement, it only has +2 weapon enchantment, and it has a 1d4 extra necrotic damage, but it'll heal you for a 1d6 every time that you attack. This becomes really great. think of it this way. If you have a Warlock, let's say you're outside honor mode, the Warlock Paladin gets the 3 attacks per action, and then you have haste in your character, and then you also have a Bloodlust potion, and then your last 2 levels are in the fighter. You can do your 3 attacks, 3 attacks, 3 attacks, 3 attacks, and if you're a great weapon master, extra attack. So that's like a 12d9 of, or 12d6 of healing. You can get 9d6 of healing easily with the 3 attacks, haste, and then the action surge, and then great weapon master, it's 10d6. So it's actually really easy to heal yourself. If you're doing a Death Knight style build, I honestly think that this is one of the best in-slot weapons just because of the healing that you're going to get back from it. So it can be a really easy way to keep yourself topped off on health. It pairs well with anything that keeps you with a huge resource pool, like the Amulet of Greater Health, which will boost up your health to 145 here in my character. Yeah, it's pretty strong. I would say that this is best for any character that needs to focus on staying alive. Yes, the 27 health from the Balduran Giantslayer is great, but that's kind of you're pigeonholed into using only strength with this. With the Sword of Chaos, it only gives you that extra 1d6 healing, but it also has a 1d4 bonus necrotic damage. Despite being commonly resisted, I still think the Sword of Chaos is another S tier item, and I personally think this is one of my favorite weapons in the game. Not only does it have this incredibly cool design, it has that extra healing and necrotic damage, and it's a legendary weapon that, not legendary, but it feels legendary from Baldur's Gate 2. Sword of Chaos is great, and you can read the description there. It references the prior game, so that's pretty cool as well. Next up, we'll go with the last legendary sword, the Silver Sword of the Astral Plane. Now, I'll compare all 3 of these at the end, because you can imagine this one's also going in the S tier. I'm just, spoiler alert. It gives you advantage on intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws. That is crazy. I feel like that's the absolute best purpose for using this weapon, and it makes it one of the best weapons in the game for that alone. You can also get this in Act 1. It's actually pretty easy to kind of cheese it. If you have a Divination Wizard and a Beastmaster Ranger with a Honeyed Paw on the bear, you can grab this sucker away from Voss as soon as you meet him. You do have to do this quickly, though, because if you don't grab it right away, you lose your chance of getting it. So definitely one you don't want to sleep on. If you want to try and get this, you do have to fight the Gith, but you can fly away and use any Gloomstalker abilities to get away from it if you're in honor mode. It's a sword worth grabbing. It is overpowered, so if you want to have a better balanced game, don't grab it, but it's one that you can get in Act 1 or in Act 3. So it has that 1d6, which is higher than the other Githyanki sword, which only gives you a 1d4 bonus, so 1d6, and at this point you're likely going to have the Resonance Stone to double that up. It also gives you, again, advantage on intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws, resistance to psychic damage, and cannot be charmed. Why is that crazy? Well, wisdom saving throws, command, hold person, 2 of the worst saving throws in the entire game. And if that's not crazy enough, this pairs with one of the best items in the game for kind of making things a lot easier for yourself. If you have someone with the Shadow Blade ability, which can do 48 of psychic damage, the Resonance Stone will double it. But the big downside is, whenever you have the Resonance Stone active, you get disadvantage on all mental saves, so you get vulnerability to psychic damage. Basically, this weapon here will give you the resistance to psychic damage and advantage on intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws, so they cancel each other out. You don't get the negative benefits of the Resonance Stone. Although, if you're going against Mind Flayers, definitely leave the Resonance Stone away, because that's just not a good thing you want to have around. But yeah, this will give you advantage on your, basically negating anything that you got from the Resonance Stone. So this pairs together very well, honestly. And again, similar to the other one, you can end your shapeshift at any time to be able to keep all the benefits of this weapon. So this is really nice too, because then you'll keep that psychic resistance. And then let's say we were to remove this weapon, you're going to see my character is then again weak to psychic damage. So yeah, pretty cool little change up there. This is again a weapon that you want if you're a Gith. It's another S tier, as I mentioned, so we're throwing it up there. Now, between the 3 of these, 2 of them require you to be a specific build. This requires a strength build with the Balduran Giantslayer. The Silver Sword of the Astral Plane requires you to be a Githyanki. There are easy ways around it, like using the Mask of the Shapeshifter. However, I think out of all 3 of these weapons, the Sword of Chaos ends up winning for me. It gives you that extra damage die overall, gives you 1d6 healing, and if you have a character that can hit multiple times, like just a fighter without using Action Surge or Haste is going to recover a 3d6 of health. That's pretty decent. And it doesn't, unfortunately, apply any of the extra benefits that you get from like other items like the Whispering Promise that gives you bless basically whenever you get healed or heal. So yeah, it does have some downfalls, but the only big thing that I care about is it doesn't look like the image. That blue sword would have been cooler than what we got. This is still really cool, as I mentioned, but yeah, overall, this weapon is one of the best in the game, in my opinion, just because extra damage die, extra healing. Yeah, in essence, the Balduran Giantslayer and the Silver Sword of the Astral Plane are better in their intended uses, but for general, any type of class, just picking up a Greatsword, this is going to give you the most well-rounded benefits, I guess. That's my justification for putting it above the other two, despite these two also having... This one's the most defensive Greatsword. This is the most offensive if you're a strength build, and this is going to be a nice combination of healing you for defensive purposes and the extra necrotic damage for extra offensive purposes, so kind of does it both. That's just my justification. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But next we got a fun sword with the Sussur Greatsword. So this weapon is one of the few, it's actually the only Greatsword that has this appearance in the game, so that's cool in and itself. It silences targets on hit. Now, I typically prefer using the other Sussur weapons here. This one's not bad, because silencing a target is really nice. So if we were to attack a spellcaster, goodbye, they can't cast spells at us for that next turn. So that is pretty useful. If you throw it, it doesn't get the benefit. So any of these weapons don't retain that silence on hit if you throw it. So if you're a giant barbarian wanting to throw a giant sword and silence targets, as cool as that is, it unfortunately doesn't work that way. Overall, though, silencing on hit is extremely effective. So yeah, I would say this one's it's one you can get in Act 1. If you're dead set on using, if you want a Mage Slayer, this is probably the best weapon for that. It could be top of the B tier, low A tier. Yeah, I won't say it's somewhere around there. At 1d4 bonus on attack rolls, +2 armor class, silence on hit. Those are all pretty effective benefits of the weapons there. And next we got ourselves another cool one with the Soulbreaker Greatsword. Another Githyanki weapon here. So when wielded by a Githyanki, you get additional 1d4 of psychic damage. Cool. +2 to initiative rolls. Great. This is basically, it still has the +1 enhancement, so it's kind of the same thing as this weapon here. It just gives you additional +2 to your initiative. So that's obviously pretty good. And I guess it also has the special attack. You get the Soulbreaker attack. Rend the enemy's body and mind and possibly stun them. That's actually really good. Stun makes the targets not have a turn. So yeah, you can basically just stop them out. It gets the cool smite attack. You can see that we stunned him for 2 turns. He can't move. That is actually really good. So yeah, I'm gonna actually put this Sussur weapon down. We'll put this one up here. That's actually, I still think Svartlebee is a little bit better, but it's better than the +2 armor class sword. But next up, we got ourselves the Jorgoral Greatsword. That one's a mouthful. This is a normal +1 enhancement Greatsword. Looks the same too, but it comes with its own unique ability. It's got the Colossal Onslaught, channel your meddlesome strength, and strike all creatures in a line. It gives you actually a pretty large area of effect attack, so you can go ahead here and go, wah! And yeah, it does pretty good damage overall. It does your weapon damage, and then an additional damage, so it gives a +5 to the attack damage. So this one, main hand attack, is, you can see their strength modifier +9 with the +1 from the weapon enhancement. And then this one gives us a +14, so the +1 from the weapon enhancement gives us an extra +4 to damage. It's pretty good, actually. I might even put this one, Jorgoral's Greatsword, top of the B tier. Yeah, I feel like it's a little bit better. Just for that weapon attack, even Sussur might be a little better, just because silence on hit is something you can do multiple times per turn. And yeah. And the last one is just a +1 Greatsword, so yeah, down there. Yeah. What I think to be some of the best weapons in Baldur's Gate 3, Greatswords, not always the top of the pick. I prefer long swords because you can use them with a shield as well, but the Sword of Chaos brings defensive purposes. The Githyanki sword, the most defensive weapon in the game other than the Shire Spear of the Night or Evening. Balduran Giantslayer, it's good. It's just straight up good for strength builds. And then Svartlebee's Woundseeker. This is one of the most underrated weapons, I would say, in Baldur's Gate 3. So that 1d4 bonus attack rolls, it's great if you can snag this in Act 1. Even if you get yourself into that fist fight, I would say it's worthwhile. Otherwise, this silencing Sussur Greatsword is also a good choice, or Sussur Greatsword. But overall, yeah, go with what you want. I think that the Svartlebee's Woundseeker is probably one of the best weapons you can grab in Act 1 if you're dead set on using a Greatsword. But yeah, let me know your favorite Greatsword in Baldur's Gate 3. Hit the subscribe button below if you haven't already, and I hope you have an incredible day. We'll see y'all in the next video.